Look at this. We've got US Coin Trust. Those of you that are familiar with the channel know exactly who I am going to see right now. And that's my buddy,
Hey,
Mustache
Matt, what's
Steve.
up?
How you doing, pal?
How's it going, man?
It's going. Good to see you.
Yeah,
Been a
same to
long
you.
time.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
We've got a lot to catch up with.
Yeah, we do. What's going on, brother?
Not much. So it's been a couple years since you've been on camera. At least it feels.
Has it been a couple years? Has it really been long? Wow.
I don't know. Maybe not.
A while.
It feels maybe a year and a half at least.
It's been some time.
It's been some time, but a lot of people are asking, "Where's Steve? I miss Steve." And this is
There it is.
This is what's been going on. He's been very busy. He opened up another location in Colts Neck, New Jersey, and I gotta tell you, dude, this place is beautiful. You really did a great job here.
Thanks. Not all my doing. I have a wife who's amazing at these things too.
She is very helpful. What was the precipice of this whole operation? What made you want to get a second location up and running? I'm just, because a lot of people want to catch up and see what's going on.
This is a goal of ours since we really started the first store.
All right.
Just it was a timing thing, and it was about getting that store is really coming into its own. Of course, we had to have staff, so it took me a year or two to have people come on board that we were comfortable with and having at that store all the time. Once we had the staffing in place, then it made sense.
Yeah.
And that store's, like I said, that store's really coming to its own over there. So.
And that's the Oakhurst location.
Yeah, that's right.
And you've got a decent sized team over there now. You've got like 6 people or something like that over
not
there.
quite
4?
that many.
4?
There's like there's two.
We've got 2
three
mics.
full-times.
You've got Brad. You've got
a couple part-timers.
Grape Ape. You've got you got a decent amount.
Yeah, my mother-in-law works there, but she's always worked there.
Yeah.
And then so we've also moved into the trading cards world.
Okay.
So we're doing sports cards, which I hired a full-time guy for. So that's his home location.
Gotcha.
And then I have Brad, who's the front guy for that store over there. And then I have 2 part-timers. The part-timers were initially hired to just relieve me, so I had a day off.
Right.
And then here I go and do this, and now I'm back to not having days off again.
So I want to talk to you now about the collectibles aspect because you know me, I love that stuff. Like comic books, sports cards, autographs, all that stuff.
Yeah, we've moved into it a little bit more than we had since the last time I've seen you. We've done a lot more of that, so.
Is there like a particular item that sells the most for you guys in terms of, is like more sports cards than comics, or is it a combination?
Yeah,
or
really the sports card end of it, the football. Football is like the number one thing, which surprised me a little bit. I kind of thought it would be baseball. It's not. Because I think trading cards, I think baseball. I might be because I'm old.
Well, you and I both the same age.
So, pretty much.
So that's what we collected as kids.
Yeah, it was baseball. But so football has really come into its own. They've done a really good job as far as making the cards unique.
Yeah.
They're not making 100 million of the same card anymore.
No.
So that's kind of good, and it's really helped that whole industry out.
Yeah.
But you know what I find fascinating is the old cards, pre-1970s. That stuff has done amazing for us. Like we just sold a Babe Ruth signature. It was just a scrap piece of paper that came in with his signature on it.
Was it?
No certificate, no nothing.
Okay.
We made a contract up with the owner and said, hey, this looks legit, but we don't know. And we just wrote up a deal. If we'll send it in, we'll get it authenticated, we'll get the appropriate paperwork for it, and if it comes back real, then we'll hammer out some numbers.
PSA DNA is the company.
Yep, so we sent it in, came back, it was real, everything was good, we were able to buy it, and we sold it
instantly.
Sold almost instantly.
That's phenomenal.
Super cool. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And it's not every day that you'll get stuff like that just like coming into the shop.
A couple times a year, maybe so far. I mean, it's coming in more and more because the name is getting out there. People are starting to recognize us for who we are as far in that. Normally it was, the bullion, the coins, the currency, so now that we're getting into that, we're pushing a little bit more too as far as advertisement goes.
That's great.
Yeah, so that stuff is really cool. We sold a Lou Gehrig memorial. We had one brand new ticket never used. It wasn't torn or nothing.
Oh.
Sent that out to PSA. Came back a 4, which I was surprised. I thought it would be a 6.
Okay.
Or better. It was super nice. It was clean. Again, we came back, everything was good. A 4, sold that and put it on eBay. We sold in less than an hour.
Yeah.
You know, so really good stuff.
What sucks is I had an insane sports memorabilia collection. Yankees, all PSA DNA authenticated. All the old school guys. I had Joe DiMaggio. I had Mickey Mantle, Phil Rizzuto, Whitey Ford, and I had team signed balls. I had a ton of stuff, and this was before COVID. I sold it all 12, 15, 14 years ago or whatever for nothing, a loss. Yeah, and then COVID comes along and the values of all that stuff skyrockets.
Who knew?
I know, but what you were saying about the good thing is that they're not printing millions of the same cards. That's exactly right. Like now you're seeing a lot of these companies, they're making like these specialty products where like the boxes are, you know, $500 and you only get 2 cards, but they're going to be something special, you know?
Yeah, the wax has been a whole another chapter, and that's something that we've been doing. We've been targeting the people that are ripping a lot.
Yes.
You know, we want to buy their leftovers.
Yeah.
You know, whatever they're not willing to or they don't want to keep or whatever have you, we want to buy that.
Let me ask you, because I know you have a big eBay store,
Yep.
and that's another big part of your operation.
Yep.
Do you sell a lot of your cards and sports memorabilia on there, or is that mainly in the shop? Like your eBay store, would you say the majority of your sales are still coins and currency and things like that, or is it a mix now? Like
It's a good mix now, like even collectibles too. Like since we've done the sports card thing, like the collectibles came along with it. That's not something I ever really wanted to get into, but the guys that work for me now, they like that kind of stuff and it's their wheelhouse. So I just sort of let them run with it. You
Why
know,
not?
Size is important, you know. I'm like,
You get another-
I don't want a dump truck full of stuff here or one big, you know, rocking horse in the middle of my shop. You know what I mean? It's got to be small enough to be able to ship it, but
like it brings you other revenue streams.
It does.
And I think too, what's good about having that extra, you know, niche or market and what have you, feeding into your business, because if maybe precious metals is lagging or kind of flat, maybe the collectibles market is a little bit more, you know, on fire.
And honestly, that's really true because about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, that was really the case. That part of our business was carrying the other half because things were just dead. You know, when gold broke over the $3,000 mark, it just shut off.
Yeah.
As far as people buying, everybody was selling, so we had a lot of inventory coming in, but very little going out. So we were spending a lot of money, but not making any money, if you know what I mean.
I do. Believe me, I certainly know.
So, but the only income that we were making money on was our eBay and then the trading cards and other avenues. Like my one guy does a card show or a flea market once a week.
Yeah.
So he's doing that regularly, which has given us a whole nother presence.
Right.
So we've kind of opened up a little bit.
It's good. You're casting a wider net. And plus, what's nice too is you're starting to see some of these different markets spill over into each other. So like now you've got these products that are being released by mints that are, you know, trading coins, kind of like cards. They kind of have the similar feel to like you were saying, like rips and things like that with sports cards. Marvel stuff. So you're getting this crossover, which is good because now you're bringing collectors from other, you know,
other platforms or whatever, arenas, I guess. And you're right. And oftentimes that leads to, hey, my grandmother has this box in her closet that she's been tripping over for 20 years. So whether that be trading cards or collectibles or coins or, you know, so it's really opened things up, and other people that normally wouldn't see us are now seeing us.
That's really good.
Yep.
I'm proud of you. Because I remember I kept saying to you, like, get into these collectible things. You're like, yeah, I
was a one-man band, man, pretty much.
True. You can't be knowledgeable of all things. It's impossible.
The one thing I learned a long time ago with being a small business, when you're kind of a 1 or 2 person deal, is stay in your lane.
Yes.
You know, stay with what you're good at. You know, when you diversify too much,
can't.
Yeah, you can't.
You
just
can't be
can't
all
wear
things
all
to
the
all
hats.
people.
You just can't be.
But it's good that you've found the right people along the way and have surrounded yourself with them as the experts in those different areas, and you just let them do their thing. And
I'm pretty easygoing. I try not to be micromanaging. I let them go. There's things that they do which I feel is like, you know, but it usually works out.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing I have picked up over my career working in corporate and working for mom and pop shops, that the leaders that did well tended to let their people kind of let them do the thing. Don't overmanage them. You know, even though if they do things, there's always a different way to get to the same place.
Right.
You know, sometimes better, sometimes not. But
True.
Generally speaking, I found that if you just let them go, and as long as it's not destructive or negative,
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
it'll all
it's
work
all
out.
worked out. Yeah.
So let me ask you, because you were talking about, now this is what I know a lot of people are going to talk about or hear about, is everything that's going on with gold. And you hit the nail on the head, because I felt it too. When gold broke that, 3,500 or 3,400, and I think there was intraday trading at one point. It hit like 3,500 briefly back in April.
Yep.
So I also saw a slowdown in the buying, and a lot of people trying to sell. And I noticed the pricing of like what the wholesalers were offering. They were getting even like further below
Less.
melt, and
That's typical. That is very, and I try to explain that. You're people come in and they expect a certain thing because that's what they've done for years, because the trading has been pretty steady climb. When you see it go like parabolic, essentially, which is what it just did. That's what happens. That's how the wholesalers slow that because they're getting, everybody's selling to them right now. Nobody's buying, everybody's selling. So how do they slow that down? They lower their premiums. There's another factor to this that's important to remember, is that when gold prices get up to the levels they are, 2% of 3,500 is a much bigger number than 2% of 2,000, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So in order for us to make our percentages, to make $100, let's just use easy numbers, on an ounce of gold at 3,500 is ridiculous for me.
Yeah.
I need to make a little bit more than that, because it costs me so much more, and much more of my capital is tied up now into a much smaller amount, if that makes sense.
it makes total sense. I try explaining that all the time on the channel, because sometimes people, and I'm sure you've seen it, they get almost like offended if a coin shop offers 100 below spot or 50 below spot or whatever the case may be. They get all angry, and I try to remind them the market is dictating the prices.
It really does.
If the prices were stronger from the wholesalers, then the coin shops can offer
Yeah, of course.
stronger.
And we're all working off of that. Every coin shop in
Yes.
the world is going to be buying based off what the wholesaler is paying. That is your outright this second. Yes, we have a retail part of it, but that's only a small part. And if we can retail, well, that's a little bit extra, helps us keep our lights on. Other than that, we base our stuff off of what I can get right this second.
Right.
You have to. That's the only safe way to fly.
Right.
And again, as the prices get higher, the wholesalers are reducing what they're paying. So their prices are coming farther and farther back. Silver's a perfect example right now. It's $36 an ounce this morning, or it just was. Now it's just a little under. But they're back, much farther than I've ever seen them before. So now when you're offering somebody, multiple dollars behind spot for silver, they look at you, they're like,
Right.
what? You know what I mean? That's because they're slowing down the flow. Nobody's buying, everybody's selling.
Yeah. And I've had people try to offer me their collections through like Instagram, like, hey, how much can you do on this? And I'm like, this was back when silver was maybe $31 an ounce. I was like, I could be at spot, that's pretty fair. But now, being that it's at 30, whatever you said, right. Now I'm noticing, like on my auctions and everything, the appetite just isn't there, or it's there. They just can't bring themselves psychologically to buy the coins anymore that they once were.
Yeah, we think about one thing too. We just got there, right?
Yeah.
Even really with gold, it's new to be $3,400 an ounce. It's new that we're at $35, $36 an ounce for silver.
been a long
Where it
time.
had been for years, it hasn't been.
13 years or
Most of us
something.
who've been stacking never saw prices this high.
Right.
So it's kind of, we're in a new world, and I think what's happening is they just don't trust the price.
Right.
And it's hard to trust when we see the volatility that we are right now. It's moving $1, $1.50 in a day. Whereas gold's moving $100 a day, which goes back to my point before. If we buy too strong and it falls $100, then
You're screwed.
we're upside down, because we don't have the retail. I can't lean on the retail and say, no big deal. I'll just sell it over the counter.
Yeah.
That doesn't work that way, because nobody's buying.
I've moved my model to doing pre-sales only, and I've also said to people on the channel, benefits that you have as a coin shop owner, your sales are daily. right? 24/7, or maybe no, not 24/7, but you know what I'm saying.
As much as I don't want to say that's usually true.
But you're buying and selling every day throughout the day, nonstop. Somebody like me, who's selling only once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I have a very big risk exposure
100%.
because now I'm buying this gold and then I watch it tank and I'm not selling it for another week from when I bought it.
And
I'm
you're selling off
effed.
what you paid for it, and there's zero or very, very, very small margins.
Yes.
And then at that point, then you get a bad taste in your mouth. There's no profit.
Correct. And
So you're spinning your wheels. Nobody wants to do that.
I don't know how, for the last 5.5 years, nearly 6 years, that I've been able to keep it profitable with that model. But now, because gold is in this new territory, now I don't stock it. I just offer pre-sales once a week when I do my show. I'm like, this is what I could give you. I'm below all the online retailers. Who wants this?
I think a lot of guys are doing that too. To be honest with you, I am the same way, especially because the flow has changed, right? It's more of a incoming flow into my store and not leaving. So therefore, I've lightened up on what I normally would have in stock.
You used to have a lot.
A lot. I mean, listen, 40, 50, 60, 80 ounces of gold was fairly common.
You'd be like, hey, come by the shop. Look at what I've got. And then you would take out
I certainly don't carry that much now because I need the capital to buy, because that's where the market is right now. So I'm just moving with the markets. You know, as things start to level back out, it's that old pendulum analogy. Pendulum swung real far one way right now. So once it starts to get back the other way, then we'll heavy up on or fatten up on the gold again.
Let me ask you, I have my thoughts and my opinion on this. Do you like when metals are much cheaper, or do you like them when they're kind of in this range a little bit higher?
I like them cheaper, dude. That's a no-brainer, man. It's a no-brainer. My money goes so much farther. You know? It's disgusting.
You can buy so much more with so much less capital. And back in the day, and I was thinking about junk silver. I would come to you. You would sell me junk silver at like 10 times face. And I would just give the stuff away. And now, what are we at? 28, 29, 30? Well, now it's at 36. I don't even know what we're at now.
I haven't done the math today because it just hit 36. But I mean, just this past week, I mean, it was 25.
Right.
26.
So now I'm just like, there's no flipping away. And people ask me too, like, do you have any junk silver? Because they're expecting it for cheap, but it's like there's nothing cheap anymore.
I don't think anybody's registered. Even myself, I still write a 2 before when I'm writing out gold numbers. I'm like, oh yeah, it's 3. You know, like I just can't get that in my head. You know what I mean? And it's been here for a while. I just still not there.
How many months would you say, like gold prices and silver prices need to like kind of stay at the levels that they're at for people to recognize that these are the new norms and for their buying to kind of resume? Maybe not at the same levels that they were, right? They're not going to be stacking as much because they can't.
Right. It's just, that's really a number thing, right? So.
But what do you think? Like 3 months, 4 months? Like how long do you think until psychologically people just realize this is where we're at? That's
really a good question. I mean, I think that's the $1 million question. If you knew that, then I'd probably be drinking fruity drinks under palm trees, man, you know?
Fruity drinks.
So I don't know. I really can't. I mean, my best guesstimate on that.
5 months, 6 months.
I think it has more to do than just, when are people going to just naturally feel comfortable? I think it's really got a lot to do with what kind of turmoil is going on in the world. What kind of stability do we have on our, think about what's going on in the United States right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Tariffs, this, and everybody's now like, holy cow, let's go buy a car. Like, you don't need metals. Let's go get a car so it doesn't cost us an extra $15,000. You know what I mean? So when you hear 100% tariffs, 60% tariffs, everything. Oh, we need a new refrigerator. Right. I need a new computer. People are getting much more logical thinking, I think, now than they're saying, think about traditionally metals have been your safe haven, right? So you rush to it when you have some extra money. Now, instead of putting it in a market today, I'm going to buy metals. I think now they're thinking, maybe I better go think about getting those tires that I've been pushing off for 6 months.
Right. My wife's going to need a new car. And she kind of drags her feet, but we're in the same predicament.
Of course, she's probably thinking the same thing. She goes, well, we're all over the place with the tariffs. We don't really know. So is now a good time? Maybe I should just wait for things to cool off and things will settle down, and then I'll wait. And either that or nobody's going to be buying cars, vice versa, and take advantage of that. So a lot of avenues you could go down. So therefore, there's your unstable
mindset.
Yeah.
I'm looking though at your display case too. I mean, you got some cool things here. It looks great. Like the presentation in your new location here, I got to tell you, is is just really, really done well, classy, you know? And not to say that your other place isn't, but look, you got all the different notes and stuff down here.
Yeah, there's two reasons for that though. First of all, is it's a lot to set up a brand new store, right?
Yeah.
Not in that it's we have tons of inventory. I could have buried this place, but it's more like time.
Yep.
You know, one and two is I like the cleaner look. You know, and it's a new store, so as things get more up to speed here, as similar to the Oakhurst store. I mean, Oakhurst, I have 2 guys work for me now, and they rarely sit down.
Right.
That place is just busy. There's people in there all day long. You know, this place, I still have time to stare at the walls. You know what I mean? So,
but it's nice too.
I'm enjoying
like for
it.
you, that's what I'm saying. Like, because you were, like you said, a one-man show for a long time. Now you finally have that location is running itself with the people there.
Yep.
And now here, it's like you could kind of just take
There
a
is
breath.
some downtime. There's some, you know, but the game has changed a little bit too, right? So I still have a whole nother shop that I got to manage, right? So I'm still doing all the back end work. My wife has come on board and helped us out a lot more now. Thank God for that. And I have to make sure that they still have funds for the day, you know, or funds for the week, you know, and then getting material. So I'm shipping much more material out every day because I got to keep that ball rolling. I'm trying to look farther out. You know, there's back end, there's payroll now, there's quarterly taxes, you know, so it's a lot of extra expenses, a lot more back end work.
It's not to put the cart before the horse, but I got to ask you now, are there plans a few years from now, a couple years from now, a third U.S. Coin Trust location?
It's possible.
Did you think of it? Or
Yeah, we've kicked it around.
like, I know you want to get this really rocking and rolling too. I'm just...
Yeah, so there's some rumors of other coin shops that are, you know, listen, this is not a young man's, most time you walk into a coin shop, it's an old guy in there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm going to be that
You're
old
one of
guy
the
soon.
youngest, you're like one of the youngest coin shop
That's
owners.
unbelievable, right?
You know?
But that's the fact. And because of that, I think there'll be some other opportunity within the next few years. So it's, have we considered it? Yes. Are we ready? No. But you know what I mean? I like to try to get, I'm a much more calculated kind of guy. So once I have this up and running and I know that this is good to go, staffing is a whole nother issue. Do I want to deal with another 3
Team,
people? You know what I mean? I don't know.
See, what I admire though is that, and I say this about all small business owners, like I think that small business owners have like the most courage out of anybody. Like for me, I would absolutely love to be on my own, do my own business. And like, yes, I have my own business, but I don't have the risk as much. Like I've got my teaching job, so I've got the security there.
Yep.
And then I'm able to, you know, twilight as a, you know, precious metals dealer via social media. So I don't have the overhead. I you know, have a small office, whatever. But to be able to like be a small business owner, and like the good thing about you, because you have brick and mortar, like you at least can scale. You know, you can eventually, if you want to open up like a third location and just continue to expand the business. And I there's a lot to be said about that. And I just wanted to let you know, like you've done an awesome job. Like you just started your last store when I kind of hopped on YouTube. Like we kind of started
yesterday,
at the same
man.
time.
Like time is going by fast. How long has it been now?
At least 6 years.
6, 7 years.
So
Yeah, it's been a while.
you've done a great job, and I'm proud of you. So
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get that out there, and everybody's going to be thrilled to see Mustache Steve. Although you're not Mustache Steve now, you're Mustache Goatee Steve.
Yeah, I'm back to my normal. I had a goatee since I was 19. It was weird just having a stash.
Was it?
Yeah.
Everybody thought you were. I told you they thought you were like a retired
Yeah.
police officer or something.
It wasn't really my look, but there was other reasons behind that. So.
Well, we're going to have to do this again, as long as you allow it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, guys, make sure you check out U.S. Coin Trust now in Colts Neck, New Jersey. Give Steve a call. Let him know that Matt sent you from YouTube, and
Awesome.
we'll see you real soon, bud.
Thanks, guys. Be good.